This is the thing about spoofs.
Here's the thing. Everybody, listen up.
If you set out to make a bad movie on purpose, even if you do it well, especially if you do it well, what do you ultimately end up with?
A bad movie.
A bad movie.
Welcome to another thrilling episode of Back to the Podcast with your host, Justin Neal, and I am Chris Lawler. Our mission is to create an entertaining, cinema-centric discussion about the past, present, and future of all things revolving around entertainment. Please don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe on wherever you consume your content. And I just want to say thank you to everyone out there for listening and watching. It's always a pleasure. How are you doing on this a beautiful day?
I am doing great. Thank you to everyone for listening. I'm glad you're here. I am so happy to be here. So it's been a really good week for me in content. Have you been watching anything interesting recently?
Yes, it's a rewatch, a couple of rewatches, but I love going back and watching old movies. Did you see anything new, interesting, something we all need to be checking out?
Well, okay, so two things to talk about, and then I began something else.
Two things.
So one was on...
Only two.
Yeah, only two. So on your recommendation, I watched David Wayne and Michael Showalter's movie, They Came Together.
Yeah, what'd you think?
It's a spoof. So Wet Hot American Summer was a spoof of camp movies.
Yeah, Meatballs and some other things and stuff.
And then added to that, there was the extra humor of all the characters playing like 17-year-olds and they're in their like mid-20s. It added some charm. And just in its time and place, it was just kind of interesting and quirky.
And then, of course, then the prequel where they were 10 years older, but they were playing younger versions of themselves and stuff. That was the silliest take as well. Did you see the show?
Yeah, Netflix. Yeah, so they were even older.
Yeah, trying to be teenagers.
So they really leaned into that idea.
Yeah.
So we watched They Came Together.
What'd you think, man?
It really takes place over a dinner, and it's Amy Poehler and Paul Rudd are a couple, and
Ellie Kemper and Bill Hader
are a couple, and they're having dinner talking about how...
It reminds me of Forget Paris. Like, that's what it feels like they're parroting. Did you ever see Forget Paris, where like the whole movie takes place at the dinner table?
They're parroting a whole bunch of things. So it's When Harry Met Sally. Okay. You've Got Mail.
Well, but I mean, specifically the table and how the whole movie is like a retrospective and like the telling the tale. Forget Paris is that whole thing. But yeah, obviously throughout the movie, there's tons of them and stuff, especially with just New York's another character.
That's a running gag. Yeah. So because it's taking from all of these sort of rom-coms, that's the idea. It's a spoof of rom-coms in general. So near the end, they're talking about these 3 parties that happened like in a row, and the delivery is so perfect. They sit down and Amy Poehler says, "Asshole." "Cunt." And then it cuts away. And I would have spit out my drink.
What I love about the dumbness of it was just how, like, I like their movies because there's over the top, and then there's one more layer over the top, and that's kind of what they do, where it's like, let's push it just a bit more, shall we? Anyway, guys, if you haven't seen They Came Together, Justin, does Chris give good recommendations? Is this the thumbs up?
This is what I say. If you like spoofs, you'll think it's funny. If you don't like spoofs, you will not think it's funny.
You will not think it's funny.
It fulfilled my expectations.
Right on. Good. All right. Chris gives good recommendations. There we go.
The other thing I watched, I continued on with my John Singleton deep dive.
And
I watched his second feature, which came out in 1993.
Wow.
And that is Poetic
Justice. Yeah.
With Janet Jackson, Tupac, and Regina King.
Wow. I've never seen this one, so please enlighten. How was it? How did it hold up?
I thought it was an interesting choice for a second feature, whereas my wife was like, well, actually, this makes a lot of sense as a second feature because it's, in a lot of ways, a continuation of the story in Boys in the Hood. So the beginning of this movie is her boyfriend getting killed in front of her.
Oh.
And then it kind of becomes essentially a road trip movie. And they kind of stop along the way. You know, you stop off and something happens, and then you get on the road, and then you stop off and something happens, and then you get on the road and you stop off and something happens. So that's the structure of the movie. It's called Poetic Justice because her name is Justice and she writes poetry.
How perfect.
Janet Jackson is so cute. I forgot, like...
So she did good in it?
She's adorable. And she's so young. She was 26 in it. So I looked it up. Tupac was 21 when they made it, 21 or 22, and he died at 25. He seems so much older older to me at the time because I guess I was like 14 or something.
Right.
25 seemed older, whereas now I'm like, oh my God, he was a fucking kid.
Yeah.
Biggie too, but like that whole episode. So he was young, Regina King was young, and Janet was a little bit older.
You know who you ended up seeing in that movie?
Who?
Lori Petty.
Yes, she is in a spoof movie at the beginning.
With Billy Zane.
Put a cork in it, Zane.
Put a cork in it, Zane.
Yes, they start off in the drive-in.
Yeah.
That's where her boyfriend gets killed. And they're watching a movie, which is a Hollywood spoof.
But that's so funny that we were just talking about Lori Petty in the last episode. Yeah.
And I actually thought to myself, Lori Petty.
I should definitely check this one out.
You know, it's about heavy themes. You don't sit in it as much because it's a road movie, so it kind of, moves along.
Oh, okay, that's cool. All right.
But it's about like, these are flawed characters who are going through trauma and shit. So I would say, at this point, because it's 90s, it feels a little hallmarky in some ways, but I think that's just the nature of it being of its time.
Yeah.
So I can get past a lot of that stuff. But
Cool.
really at its core, I thought this was a good follow-up. I liked this movie. I'm glad I watched it.
So recommend it?
Yeah, totally. If you want something early 90s.
Right on. That sounds like a fun week though that you had.
Oh, another thing, you posted this on the website, 70 millimeter Oppenheimer. So I'm going to do the 70 millimeter here at the Hollywood Theater.
Nice.
In town. It's one of the few 70 millimeter theaters in the country. And I saw The Hateful Eight there.
Cool.
When Quentin Tarantino was doing the roadshow. That's become one of my favorite Tarantino movies of late. And so I'm going to do the double feature. I'm going to do Oppenheimer 70 millimeter, and then I'm going to go see Barbie after that.
That sounds like fun.
Do you have a plan for it yet? I'm going to make it a day.
No, not yet. Me and the wife still just haven't been much movie theater goers. Like I said, that might be one of the first ones that we go and see, but no plans have been put into action. It's been discussed, but no plans have been set yet. And I may not make it for opening weekend, but I know. It's okay. It's okay. Well, do you want to try out something new? I think we should have some fun today. We talk a lot about films on here. We might as well put our money where our mouth is and see if we really are as good with cinema trivia and knowledge as we say we are. So we figured we maybe have a little quick fire round, 60 seconds, see how many questions you can get right, and maybe start a little ongoing competition between me and Justin. Do a stretch and pop some knuckles here. Yeah. And who wants to go first, you or me?
I'll ask you first.
You want to ask me first? Oh, man, that puts pressure on.
Okay, tell me when to start.
Ready and go.
Who directed the film E.T. the Extraterrestrial?
Oh, that would be Steven Spielberg.
Which actor won an Oscar for his performance in the film The Revenant?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
In the movie Gone with the Wind, what is the name of the main female
No,
character?
it was Tom Hardy. No, it was Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay, go ahead. Next one.
In the movie Gone with the Wind, what is the name of the main female character?
Oh, Scarlett. Pass.
You get half point. Who played the character of John Wick in the action film series?
Keanu Reeves.
Which film features the iconic line, "Here's looking at you, kid"?
Casablanca.
Who directed the 1994 film Pulp Fiction?
Tarantino.
What is the name of the fictional planet in the Star Wars series that is home to Chewbacca and the Wookiees?
Oh, Kashyyyk?
Yeah. Which actress portrayed Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter film series?
Pass.
Who played the character of Tony Stark's loyal AI assistant Jarvis in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Damn, time up.
That would be Paul Bettany?
Bettany, yeah, I didn't get there before the timer went off.
You wasted time going back and forth between Leo and Tom Hardy. You had it the first time.
I know, that was my bad.
No, all good.
I don't know why I debated that. All right, here we go. So we're going to put another 60 seconds up on the board for you here, and we're going to see how good
Now I got the nerves.
you can do on this one. So let's try this out. Justin, are you ready
I am.
for some quick fire action? Here we go, starting now. Which actor played James Bond in the movie Skyfall?
Daniel Craig.
What is the highest grossing film of all time as of 2021?
Avatar.
In the film The Godfather, what is the famous line, "I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse"?
What is the famous? You mean?
Who says the famous line? Excuse me.
Marlon Brando, The Godfather.
What's his character's name?
Oh my God. I cannot believe.
Running out of time.
I know. Keep pass.
Who directed 1975 film Jaws?
Steven Spielberg.
What actress won an Academy Award for her role in La La Land?
Stone.
In the Harry Potter film series, what is the name of the Harry's best friend?
Ron.
Who played the character of Batman in 1980 film Batman?
Michael Keaton.
Which actor portrayed Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean series?
Johnny Depp.
What is the title of the first Star Wars film released in 77? And that's time.
A New Hope.
I'll give it to you.
I get to answer it because you started the question.
I give it to you.
I'll take it.
You didn't get a couple right, but it's okay. You did good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points is what I counted up for you.
Okay. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half.
6.5. Damn. But all right, you win. Yay.
Oh my God, the Godfather one. I don't know. It was one of those like
Don Vito Corleone.
It's like in front of you and then it goes up in smoke and you go, that was right there. Where did you go?
So that was fun. Definitely think that they were a little easy, but it's okay. There were some tough ones. There's some old ones and whatnot. So I like that there was a myriad in there. So that was a lot of fun. So my big thing recently was that I really wanted to look at some movies from my childhood. Do they still hold up and whatnot? And the one that keeps coming to mind over and over again is The Never-Ending Story, because the message in there is just timeless, right? And, you and I are both creators, right? So we're kind of dreamers. We don't live in reality sometimes.
Sometimes.
Our heads are usually in the clouds and stuff. So, what I loved about that movie, I didn't understand all those underlying themes totally as a kid, but you're feeling them because there's so much heavy emotion coming through the screen and stuff.
It's adult. There's a lot of adult themes.
Was this one of your favorites when you were a kid?
Yeah, it's heavy.
Yeah. I still watch it. My wife doesn't totally get it.
It wasn't one of hers.
This was not her childhood movie.
She's just anti-German, right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's a very German production. Like the whole movie, it's like...
Right, it's very European.
I think it was the most expensive non-Hollywood produced movie.
Non-Hollywood production at the time. Yeah, no, she's younger than us, man.
Totally.
That one, once again, when did it come out? 84?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. So that was still even before my time, technically. Sure. I was only 1 year old when that movie came out.
Well, we weren't watching it when we were,
Yeah, but I remember renting that movie and having to rent the VCR.
Yeah.
We had to go to a Blockbuster just to get it.
By the time I was probably 6 or 7, we had The Never-Ending Story recorded from TV.
No, we didn't own a lot of movies when I was young, but I remember having that. It was a black clamshell, which was like different than all the other ones at the time and stuff. And yeah, I loved it.
It still has one of my favorite lines in any movie.
What?
We don't even care whether or not we care.
How fucking wild is that? Like, I think at that time that really meant something to me. And like, that creature is so old and like it has moved beyond mortal comprehension and understanding. It's been there so long, fucking trees have grown on it. And then, of course...
Oh, dude. I mean, if you're not getting emotional when that horse is drowning and they're getting that separation and he's dealing with the loss and grief themes in that movie, I think are really poignant, man. I mean, once again, they don't really talk about it deeply at the beginning of the movie, but the kid had just lost his mom. They don't really talk about it. Honestly, when I was a kid, I was under the impression...
Well, it's the opening scene with his dad.
But when I was a kid, because they don't just talk about how she died. Like, it almost seemed like she left. Like they got divorced.
Well, because like it wasn't about the initial grief. It was past the initial grief and it was time for him to move on, sort of.
Right. But, the fact that the dad is just like, it's like he'd forgotten about how to love and like live in that world for a little bit longer and stuff like that and hold on.
It was his generation too.
Yeah. So,
whereas the kid was more of our generation, we were allowed to live in that a little bit more than maybe some of the others. Who, like, his dad's dad could have, like, come back from
war,
fucking Europe. You know what I mean? He could have been a war vet.
Hell, his dad, I mean, that movie was made in the 80s. His dad was kind of young enough that he could have been in it himself.
No, he was too young for Vietnam.
You think so? He just, he doesn't, I don't know. It's like he doesn't want to confront it.
Yeah.
He just wants to move on and forget about it. And then, like, the thing I like is that it really reminds us that it's okay to feel the depths of sadness, to inspire us to find the strength and healing through that process. And that's what I find the most rewarding, especially towards the end of the movie, when the little boy, like, it's all up to him. You have to have hope. You have to stay creative, or else this world dies. All the imagination dies if you don't keep it alive. Oh, it just, I don't know why it affects me the way it does, but that movie really does the tear jerking and like it pulls at my heartstrings like big time, because I am a dreamer that has grown up an entire world where people have been like, no, but you have to get a job. You have to fall in line. You have to give up on these silly dreams, and you have to do these things that everyone else is doing.
Buy in, sell out.
Yeah. So
I think one of the things that's interesting about that movie, there's two protagonists and two antagonists.
okay.
So one is Bastian, who's reading the book, and then you've got Atreyu, who's the other protagonist.
He's like the hero of the story. And then once again, they even get meta, and Bastian's the hero of our story. We're the ones watching him go through this as well. And they even reference that.
Then we've got Grimork.
Okay.
So you got the wolf chasing him.
Oh, the wolf, dude.
But then you've got the metaphysical, existential antagonist of the nothing.
The loss of, yes.
The all-consuming nothing, which is the loss of his mother. That's what it represents within, you know, our theme. So it's interesting how those two, they parallel each other. So there's the boy and the loss of his mother, and that's the nothing. And then you've got, you know, the boy on his quest, and then Grimork is the one trying to stop him. Because if it was just the nothing, that's almost too abstract to really be kind of threatening as a child, I think. So that's why the wolf is threatening it to a child.
That wolf was scary.
Like, I remember scaring the shit out of me.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
But it's great that the nothing is there because it represents something much deeper, which I think makes it more fulfilling as a story. It works better with both. And I think it works better with both protagonists as well, too. It's a richer story.
I love it, man.
What is your favorite scene of that movie?
Ooh. There's a lot of good ones, because there was a lot of love put into what they put on screen, is how I always felt. And I love the cinematography. So there's a lot of beautiful moments in there. Ooh. I guess I like it when Atreyu's going through those statues and he has to be like,
That's what I was going to say.
are you kidding me? There's no way. I don't know why.
Well, it's because that scene is so good.
Yeah.
So effectively told.
There's like tension.
The buildup of suspense as he gets closer. The soundtrack, the score.
Yeah.
It's so good.
There's no way you were going to say that was your favorite moment. That's incredible.
You don't know, as the viewer, if he's going to die or not, because you watched it just happen to the knight on horseback. And so when he goes, you're like, shit, he might die.
I really love that sequence, man.
Me too. It's fantastic. That is my favorite part.
And of course, that's when we, right before that is when we get introduced to, you know, Falkor, the luck dragon, really. And then there's a little bit of humor with the crazy, kooky little like elf man.
And his wife. Oh yeah, that's great.
It's like, what is this world?
I love the gemstones and the potions and all of that stuff.
And once again, what I love about rewatching that is that it's all practical effects. You know, they didn't do computer stuff. So it was all puppetry and practical effects and, you know, set design stuff, forced perspective, you know, but it's done practically. And it's pretty cool, man. Wherever they shot that and however they lit that and stuff, it's magical. Like the lighting in that movie makes it feel very magical.
Absolutely. And I love one of the scenes too. This was really heavy to me as a kid, was when Atreyu, he gets through the statues and he goes further and he comes on the mirror and he looks through, and who does he see? He sees Bastian. And in that moment of like that meta moment where a character is recognizing its own participation in someone else's story, that's a heavy concept. You know what I mean? Like, that's really a philosophical, you know, existential sort of concept, and to introduce especially to a youth audience, I think it's pretty, you know, that's pretty heavy. That movie is full of heavy stuff like that. I want to work at the bookstore though. I love it. I love that bookstore. That's my, well, I mean, look at me. That's my kind of jam.
I know, right? Yeah. I mean, can you believe that it was released back in 84? Here we are still talking about it. Have you shown it to your kids? Have they seen it yet?
Not yet. Too heavy.
Okay. That, you know, you say that, but it's like, I was that young.
I know, but
you got a 6-year-old, right?
Yeah, but I'm judging my boys pretty good.
Okay.
As soon as they're ready, I'll like snap to. You know what I mean? But
nice.
I'm dishing it out slowly. Like when they're ready for certain things, then that's when we'll do it. And I think it's going well. So I'm just gonna kind of keep up what I'm already doing. You know what I'm saying? But they haven't gotten to that one yet. But they will. They will.
Okay. Good, definitely. Because I mean,
yeah.
You know, the messages as we were discussing are just timeless themes of imagination, escapism.
I think they'll love it.
Battle between good and evil is in there as well.
They're a little bit too young, but they'll love it when they're older.
It's a testament to the film's enduring appeal, you know, and its ability to touch the hearts of new generations. So I hope that you are sharing it with your next generation and you're sharing it with them and they're sharing it with their friends and stuff.
And they tell two friends.
And they tell two friends.
And they tell their friends. And so on. And so on. And so on.
So I started thinking back to my childhood as well. Within my childhood, I really wanted to do a deep dive and think, what movie has affected me the most in my entire life across the board? Not just movies, but things that like colored my choices outside of cinema that have nothing to do with storytelling.
Okay.
It was a broad thing, but I was like, what fucking movie like really, because I've been around long enough to be able to look back a bit
yeah,
and say like, what is the movie that did it? What is the movie that affected me the most? And then it came to me.
Please, drum roll.
That movie is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Yeah, you were watching that the other night. So why this movie?
That movie has affected my life more than any other movie.
Okay. How so?
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, I saw in the theater when I was 10 years old. So it was like early middle school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I saw it around
fifth
the
or
same
sixth
time.
grade or
Yeah.
something. You saw it the same time. Saw it like 3 or 4 times in the theater.
Yeah.
So Morgan Freeman's character in that movie, you know, he's
Yeah.
the fish out of water. He's the outsider coming, you know, to England.
Yeah.
And the whole time he's like,
Interesting place, this.
England. And the weather's shitty and everyone sucks. And he's essentially thinking, why would anyone want to be here? And I sat there in that movie theater and thought, that's where I want to go.
Why?
I have been an Anglophile ever since. I did a study abroad in the summer of 2003 in England and took a Shakespeare and a Gothic lit class. I want to live in the outlaw village. Like, I want a cabin in the woods, and then I want like tree houses with wooden bridges going between them.
That's ridiculously funny. Wow.
I love archery.
Okay.
And it's all because of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Prince of Thieves.
The soundtrack is amazing. The production design, the movie can be a hot mess at times.
I don't mean to laugh because
I'm chaotic good.
Right.
Like I'm actually naturally like Robin Hood.
Okay.
That suits me as like a disposition.
That's so funny.
So when I see Robin Hood on the screen, I go, that's who I would be.
Don't get me wrong. That village definitely messed with my head as a kid too. I thought that was super cool.
To the trees!
To the trees! To the trees!
Oh man.
The production design is so good. All the textures, the costumes,
Yeah.
the leather, the wood, the steel.
It just cracks me up that everyone's got this British accent except for Kevin Costner in that movie.
He's got like a Southern California accent. He's like a SoCal boy, which is just kind of a nondescript American accent.
And then Christian Slater is trying his best at an accent in that movie.
Whenever I watch it now, the one thing is the whole like rape sequence in the third act.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
you watch it, and you're like, wow, I don't remember this. Like,
you will be my wife. Yeah.
you know, and then just leg spreads. It's one of those like, ooh, this is not okay. So it's probably,
Yeah.
you know, we could say it's problematic. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The director, Kevin Reynolds, they had worked together, him and Kevin Costner in a previous movie. They're
Which
both
one?
like SoCal boys. I can't remember what it's called now,
Okay.
but this was their like second collaboration together. And then they went on to do a third, which did not go so well. And that is what?
The Postman?
Waterworld.
Waterworld, okay.
And
Okay.
so Kevin Reynolds like left in the middle of the production. I don't remember at what point, and Kevin Costner like took over. Like
Yeah,
that was,
yeah.
as we know, a hot mess.
See, once again, why is that movie a hot mess? I know we're not talking about Waterworld, but why is that? I've seen that movie
My wife loves that movie.
one too many times for it to be just that bad of a movie.
It's not.
It's so bad that it's good is what it crossed over into.
No, I don't even think so. Actually, I think it totally plays.
I think the stunts in it are still fun. Young Jack Black with no lines is in that movie too.
A lot of it was because Hollywood likes a failure if you get too big for yourself a little bit.
You think so?
If they think you get too much of an ego, they don't like that. Cameron almost went through that with Titanic. They really didn't want that movie to succeed. Like the media and stuff in Hollywood, other people, a lot of it's, I'm sure, jealous, envy, whatever, that sort of thing. They didn't want that to work. They want to say, look, I told you so. They would rather do that in something too big. And Waterworld is where that's what tanked it. You know what I mean? Titanic was able to overcome that because of the audience reaction. But Waterworld didn't have enough of an audience reaction to overcome the really bad press and shit.
But yet they still run the live stunt shows to this day.
It's a cult movie.
So it obviously did something with the audience and stuff like that.
But it bombed at the box office.
I know. The budget for that movie was really high.
It was huge. It was the most expensive movie ever at that point.
And that's obviously what made it be a failure. But Dennis Hopper was ridiculously awesome in that movie as this way over the top villain.
Smokers.
I personally enjoyed that one. I've seen it way too many times for it to just be a crappy movie. So that about wraps it up for today's show. That was me and Justin sharing our childhood memories for movies that have stuck with us into our adulthood. Of course, the quickfire round was pretty fun. I think we're going to do some more games like that. Did you enjoy that, Justin?
I did. I loved that.
Nah, me too. I'm not happy that I lost, so we're going to definitely have to do a rematch here sooner rather than later. So just let us know in the comments below, what are your favorite childhood movies? Ones that affected you traumatically or have stuck with you into your adulthood, or ones that you couldn't wait to share with your next generation of young kids, youngins. What do we call them now?
Youths.
The two youths that you want to share with in your household. And of course, join that Facebook group. Come on over to the conversation. Don't forget to get involved over there. And then, of course, drop everything down in the comments below. Let us know about movies that are affecting you, what you're watching, and of course, what you would like to see on the show. And we'll see you again next time on Back to the Podcast.